Before we get started with the show proper, just want to let everybody who's on the free feed know that if you enjoy what we're doing here, this independent little thing we call Padres Hot Tub, not beholden to anybody, we're beholden only to those who are our contributors, those who decide to support the program. And those are our patrons. And if you'd like to help support us, the best way to do that is patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub, patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. We are at an all-time high in patrons. The Padres Hot Tub community is bigger and more vibrant than it has ever been. And for as low as $5 a month, you get all of these shows ad-free and a half day earlier, sometimes more than a half day earlier than the free feed gets them. You won't even hear this. We've gotten smart. We've put it now before the show so we can easily edit it out. So you won't even hear this. You'll get live shows, group therapy. You'll be on our Discord, have an opportunity to be part of a self-selected community that is a lot of fun to chat with, even during games. And we're excited to announce that even as baseball season begins, Have a Drink returns are also free Patreon exclusive podcast in addition to Banter, which we record each week as well. So you get Banter, you get Have a Drink, you get ad-free Padres Hot Tub, and so much more, guys. I think we've created something that's got some value for folks who are looking for a place to commune with fellow Padres fans.
I spend way too much time there. Not only talking about the Padres, but talking about TV shows. I put together a little video on a breakfast hash that I'm going to put on the Patreon in eats and drinks. We're doing baseball card breaks just about once or twice every month. A lot of fun stuff going on in there, and I'm grateful to be a part of the community and for them for supporting us.
This is not even Padres related per se, but I have basically kicked social media by I don't go. Twitter was where I got my Padres news, and people post tweets in our Discord, so I don't have to go on Twitter. Instagram I stopped going on, and I have wonderful conversations about what's going on in pop culture and life and banter and movies and TV channels on our Discord. So I mean, if you're looking to kick social media, it worked for me, truly, just being a member of this community on our Discord. So I can't recommend it enough.
So give it a try if you'd like. Check it out and to see and see. Is $5 a month something you'd like to do? Or would you even like to do a higher level? Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. Check it out for yourself. Welcome to the Padres Hot Tub, everybody. It's opening week, part 2. We opened, now we open again. Greg Elsten, Raphie Cantor, Chris Reed, the weird gyrations of these guys. If you're watching
doing
the
YouTube sprinkler,
show,
Craig.
Only they can explain it for themselves.
I don't owe you an explanation.
You don't. You don't. I mean, the audience, that's up to you to decide. On the show tonight, we're going to take a look at the news of the weekend, and then we're going to get our last thoughts on the NL West before this thing really gets started. Play gets started on Thursday. Domestic opening day. All the teams are going to play. We're going to have ourselves a real season here, guys. And I got to tell you, it was jarring that the season began. We had these 3 a.m. games. So it was something completely new and unique as well. Like, first time it's a party. It's staying up all night. It's like a watch party with hundreds of people in the middle of the night getting together to watch a baseball game. And then the next day it's like, oh, I can wake up at 3. I can watch this other game that's much better and extremely high scoring. And then, okay, the season started. We're 1-1. Let's go on to the next game. There was no next game. This is not baseball. Baseball is all about there's always another game tomorrow. When the season starts, it doesn't stop until 6 months later. Our season started and it stopped. All of a sudden, there's a plane flight. There's more exhibition games. It's all cattywampus. I'm confused. My baseball brain hurts, and I need the season to start and everyone to begin. Like, I didn't even set a lineup for my fantasy team for these games in Seoul. I'm like, let's go. Let's start this thing.
And some fantasy leagues have them counting and some don't. I hope to hear later this week on our Have a Drink with one of our patrons who is out there that it was not only a fun experience for those who actually went and did it, but it was an experiment and an endeavor that helped grow the game. I'm curious to hear if that is actually the case from his perspective.
Yeah. I just want to say that if any fantasy leagues are not counting those games, that's dumb. And that's ridiculous. And I'm only saying that because I have Yamamoto in one of my fantasy leagues and we absolutely shelled him. And if I have to suffer, everyone has to suffer. Okay.
No, I had Jake Cronenworth and Luis Campusano in a league. It's 19 points I don't get.
Guess what, Rafe? I had a league where it counted, our league, the A League, and I just never set my lineup. I thought I had heard they didn't count. I wasn't sure, and I never even put anyone in. So I lost a great effort from Xander Bogaerts, and I also lost Yoshinobu Yamamoto's 1 inning and 5 earned runs because I have him too.
Yeah.
So it's perfect for me. They were teasing me in the thing. I'm like, actually, I think I did something good. I'll trade no Bogaerts hits for no Yamamoto blowing up my ERA for the week, and I've already lost ERA. So yeah, all good. But we digress. This won't be the longest show for a couple of reasons. The first is we're going to start in the news. We're going to then move to a quick look at, I just kind of want to hear what you guys think in terms of now that we're essentially settled with the rosters, adding in Chapman, adding in Snell, Eduardo Rodriguez hurt to start the year for Arizona. Like, what we're thinking about these division opponents. So we'll kind of scatter through the key teams in the NL West. I mean, we might laugh at the Rockies at the end. I don't know.
Have to.
But we'll do that. We'll do that momentarily. We'll start with what's in the news in baseball coming in. But the biggest story in the news we're not going to talk about on today's show, which is Shohei Ohtani's whatever it is. Either it's his translator stealing money from him, or it's a wire transfer scandal, or whatever. More than any other reason, because he has announced that he's going to speak to the media on Monday, which means anything we say on Sunday night is going to be immediately pointless. The second that he speaks, that's going to be the story. So let's just leave that out. And if there's something to talk about it, whether it's on group therapy or it's next week, we'll talk about it and we'll let, Dodgers LaCroix plunge. Go ahead.
Are they swimming
and handle
in
that.
LaCroix?
That sounds not too bad. Is it my LaCroix? Nobody else's?
It's only Pamplemousse, and it's just Pamplemousse LaCroix in a hot tub.
Pamplemousse and l'essence de la crise.
So so because of that would be an hour if we talked about that.
Yeah,
we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, you can hear about it in the Discord if you're a patron. We have all our opinions there.
That's very true, and they have continued to pace. So let me say something that probably will be also irrelevant, knock on wood, and outdated very quickly. Looks like the roster we have is the roster we have for the Padres on opening day. They didn't make any trade while the team was in the flight home from Korea, like some people had joked and speculated about for weeks and months. They didn't sign Tommy Pham while they were away to a contract that allowed him to start working out in Peoria while the team was playing in Seoul. They haven't been linked to anybody at all. And I'm kind of thinking that now that they won a game, they're like, okay, we've got a team. We won a game. Let's keep playing with this team.
the rest of the league hasn't set their rosters in any way, shape, or form yet, and you're seeing guys come out that are mild surprises or with complicated contract situations like Miles Straw. If their flame-throwing right-hander somehow becomes somehow available, that AJ Preller saw while he was a Texas scout in the 2013 season, maybe they do something like that. I don't think we're getting Brandon Belt though, Craig, and that I don't want to, we know how we feel about it, but it seems like they're very cheap. Like, it seems like the value in the marketplace right now is concentrated on the tippy top of what's left. And there's still some solid people who can help you win baseball games.
I'm gonna zag. Maybe we could make this. I don't know how we make this interesting. If we want to do $1, if we want to do a drink of some sorts, Craig, but I think that there's going to be an addition to this roster. I want to say by the end of the calendar day on Thursday, so including the day of opening day, I think something will happen, be that signing or trade. And I tell you why I make this. I reread an article that I recommended on Group Therapy on Thursday that was all about the 2015 season. I remember the 2022 season, the Kimbrel trade in 2015, the Taylor Rogers trade in 2022. Both happened on, I think, the day before or on opening day. And I just think it is like AJ does not see like that as a limiting factor at all. And
was Rogers after Suarez?
After we signed Robert Suarez?
No, like after he had his first closing attempt in Arizona.
No, it was like the day. Raphie's right. It was like the night before.
God,
yeah. The trade had been made, but he had to get from Minnesota to San Diego on opening day, so he was not available. Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you're right, and I'm happy to Venmo you $1.
All right, likewise.
If that is the case, that I don't want to be right. I'll say it again. And watching the team for 2 days didn't do anything but reinforce this in my mind. I think this team is 2 hitters short in a crowded NL West field where there's 9 teams on Fangraphs projected within like 4 games of one another. A couple little things could be the difference for the team that makes it through at the end. And those could be at-bats given to qualified hitters instead of quadruple A infielders that are posing as DHs and or Jurickson Profar. Now, when I brought that up on the show this week, I kind of got pushback. It's like, well, what if Jurickson Profar is good? And, the answer to that is great. Good golly, Miss Molly. If Jurickson Profar is good, that's just great news for everybody. And the last time on this podcast that I sounded a big alarm at the start of the year that Jurickson Profar was the starting left fielder was 2022. And he had a really good year. And then it looked like I was dumb saying that. But I am 2 years later equally concerned about Jurickson Profar being the starting left fielder for this team. And I'm worried that 2022 was his career death rattle as opposed to 2023 being a weird like aberration and that he's got a 2.5 WAR season in him defending and giving good at bats in left field. I'm not sure. I'm willing to give it a try at the start, I guess. But I just think if you added a qualified left-handed DH to this team and you added a good, solid hitting left fielder, it would really, really fundamentally change the playoff odds for the Padres. When the margins are small, a small move can be big.
I completely agree. And I mean, we're going to talk about the NL West later on in the show, but it's worth emphasizing as we go into, official opening day, just how close this field is. Right now, the projected playoff odds between the Giants, the Diamondbacks, and the Padres, according to Fangraphs, are 3 percentage points for all 3 teams. They're all within 3 percentage points, which basically means you throw them all up in the air, someone's going to land, and one or two were going to be out, and no one knows. And like you said, like it was tough looking at those two lineups next to each other in Korea and being like, even though we got some production in game 2 from the bottom of the lineup, like it's like, okay, after Kim, things really, and Campisano, things really fall off. And it's really a reminiscent of what happened last year, where we had that whole stars and scrubs model, and the lineup was entirely top heavy, and it led to all of our sequencing issues that we had, where we had Austin Nola taking in completely an inordinate amount of at bats, where he had like the bases loaded or like 2 men on or something like that. And it's like, our guys that are producing in the middle of the lineup just have no one behind them to hit them in. No one's going to even run into anything. And I just worry that we're going to make the same mistake this year. If they're going to put Merrill in the 9 spot, that could be a potential difference depending on how much you believe in him. But I can't agree with you more, Craig, about like, and this is why I think something's going to happen. Is
For
because,
what it's worth,
yeah,
there's still another spot on the 40-man. Padres still are at 39.
Yes, they are.
What does AJ Preller
Should
know?
be nice. Right. Saturday, the celebration of life for Peter Seidler. I was bummed I couldn't go. I had a double work duty, and they did move it a little bit earlier in the day, but I had planned my day around all the work and had other things I had to do in the middle of the Saturday, as opposed to getting down to Petco. I saw clips. Happy to open the floor to your guys' reaction. I mean, I think the number one takeaway from a hot tub standpoint is Sage story confirmed, and told in great style by AJ Preller on the stage himself. So,
Craig is, of course,
that was
referring to group therapy episode from August 25th, the saging of Petco Park, which goes over what we heard about this. Though I want to point out how we reported it and how we were told it was that it was saged in June, and AJ Preller told the story from May. So perhaps this wasn't the only time.
Well, they said the Cubs were in town, so you can check for that. It's whenever the Cubs went.
Yeah, which was May. Let me double check.
Okay.
I'm semi-positive.
I do not remember.
I do have to say, AJ Preller, I found to be very likable and
he made me cry, dude,
and sentimental and intentional. And like, I really, for a guy who, when we hear him give press conferences, can be one of the most frustrating people to listen to when he's not playing the subterfuge game. He's like a super nice, like well-spoken, like meaningful dude. And I just like, I wish I saw that side of AJ more, because it's like, I think you had posted this, Chris, in our Discord, that like, it made me proud that he was our general manager in a way,
I thought it was like he won me over kind of permanently with it. And exactly like you said, it was in June. All right. So we reported accurately the first time, just one saging. We saw the human side. We saw the empathetic side. We saw him telling stories about experiences. It may have been a saging at home plate rather than a work retreat as a team building exercise. But all the stories were from the heart. But I have to point out, while I thought the entire ceremony did a wonderful job paying tribute to Peter Seidler's generosity and the love in his heart, they also did a lot to mention that his biggest impact on our town was changing the Padres, like from a middling team hoping to run into a draft pick here and there, to a team invested in trying to win a championship.
Lovely ceremony. Hope it does inspire the guys. I feel like some of those statements are somewhat trite, but I think the honest, in terms of like trying to tie it to baseball success, I thought the honest, words from the stars of the team and from people who knew Peter were great. And hopefully it gave folks, not only a little bit of closure, but also just a little bit of that inspiration going into the season.
Yeah, I know it was what was to be expected, but it was nice seeing the whole team there, and it was nice. I liked hearing Joe Musgrove talk about the interactions that they had when he was negotiating his contract, and what Peter Seidler said, basically the effect of like, if you're getting this much money, like it's not just the expectation that you're going to go out and win and try and help bring a championship to San Diego, but also like I expect you to show up in the community, like, and I expect you to be a leader in that way. And it's just nice to hear an owner. I mean, everything about Peter Seidler as an owner was so nice to deal with, and I miss him dearly. But just to say that, like, no, this job has other responsibilities besides what you do on the field. And I just hope that whatever this team does moving forward, whoever's controlling the team with the ownership group, like, there's a lot of words being said now about we want to continue Peter's vision. Like, I really hope that they mean it, because it would, he really was a remarkable man. And I just like, he was the best part of a team that had, those 3 years from 2020 to 2023, 4 years, whatever you want to say, like, he invested and they just didn't deliver for him in the way that he always imagined. And I just hope that they just carry his spirit forward.
I do think that being a Padres fan has been extremely easy the past 5-6 years because we had the best owner in the game. And if I'm a fan of anything about the Padres, I'm a fan of Peter Seidler.
Continuing in the news, the Boris 5, 4 down, 1 to go. Jordan Montgomery still unsigned. But JD Martinez has signed with the Mets. JD Martinez signed for $2.5 million this year with the Mets. It's crazy. And then he'll get paid like $1.5 million installments in the 2030s that will get it up to being a total of a 1-year, $12 million deal with the Mets. But a market that used to be nuts. Jung-Hoo Lee got like $115 million or something like that in as a rookie who's never played in the league. Yamamoto got $325 million, got a 12-year contract. Never pitched in the big leagues. Got a 12-year contract. And Luis Severino got $13 million. He was terrible. Lance Lynn got $10 million. He was terrible. Like, in the middle of this market, you couldn't buy anything for less than $14-15 million. Now you can get JD Martinez for $2.5 million and a bunch of deferral checks. And I would say that it was a miss for the Padres not to go harder when I see this deal. But then, as you brought up, Raphie, and I saw it in The Athletic as well, JD Martinez, when he talked about being wooed by the Giants, his argument there is equal to why he would not be signing here to play at Petco Park.
Yeah. He had an interesting quote. I apologize. I don't know if it was Andrew Baggerly, who covers the Giants for The Athletic and is a fantastic writer, by the way, or if it was a different article. But basically, JD Martinez gave this quote, and he said, "If I'm being honest, it's not the best." This is talking about AT&T Park, or Oracle, in San Francisco. "If I'm being honest, it's not the best hitter-friendly park for me. If I go there and I hit 260 with 20, people are going to say I'm old and I'm washed up and I'm kind of done, and I'll find myself out of the game. I wanted to give myself the best opportunity. It's nothing against the Giants organization at all. I just wanted to give myself the best opportunity to continue my career in baseball and keep playing. San Fran is a tough ballpark to hit in, especially when you go the other way there. Citi Field is not like that. Most fields aren't. That's one of the big ones." So just openly saying, like, yeah, it was the ballpark. Like, that's why I didn't sign there. And I have to look at the park factors, but Petco and Oracle are right up there with each other in terms of their pitcher friendliness. And I'm just curious, like, he's the one of the first, or, forgive me if there are other people who have said this out loud. Like, I'm wondering who hasn't. I'm wondering who we've courted, and this has just been an obstacle.
Also, not necessarily choosing not to play here, but Will Myers and Tommy Pham both chose Cincinnati as their destination when they were free agents. probably hoping that their numbers would be inflated a little bit by the hitter-friendly park.
That's true. We're never going to be a hitter's destination. That's why we had to pay top flight for Manny Machado too. But we can draft and develop, I guess, now. Good luck to Graham Pauley and Jackson Merrill. We'll see how that plays out. With that, yeah, I mean, JD Martinez is gone. He's with the Mets. I don't think that changes the Mets' fortunes. When we previewed the Mets on Annie and Elsten, I look at them as a losing ball club. They got a bunch of fifth starters in their rotation. I think their whole rotation is fifth starters. So we'll see if JD Martinez fundamentally moves the needle for them, or if he and the polar bear guy, Alonso, get together and tag team for ISIS and just like raise each other's right-handed power profile. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not too worried about the Mets. Any other news and notes before we kind of just do a quick level set for the division and then keep our powder dry for opening day?
The young people's game was a lot of fun. Seeing Terso Ornelas go deep a couple times. The spring breakout game is the branding I was trying to find there. I don't know if you guys saw Robbie Snelling deal pretty effectively and Dylan Lesko implode quite effectively.
Oh, no. I did not.
Got it.
I saw Leo DeVries get on base 4 times.
Yeah.
That's what I saw.
14-year-old kid.
And I saw Tirso hit 2 jacks and gave a nice little post-game interview after, wearing a necklace from his mom and everything like that. And I think Chris more than anyone, but we're very on record as being pro Tirso Ornelas. Like we love Tirso.
Left-handed bat, if he can just show he can hit that more advanced pitching, but he hasn't. So fingers crossed he starts off hot in AAA. And if anybody in the outfield has problems, he can come show us.
I know someone who has problems in the outfield. It's Jurickson Profar, and it's because he's the starting left fielder. That's the problem.
Exactly. The Taylor Swift song there. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem.
It's JP. I'm the problem. It's JP.
Yeah. Okay, so a quick NL West survey. Everyone's going to pick the Dodgers to win 105, 106, 110 games. I'm not going to go crazy and say that I think that they're terrible. I do think their defense is terrible. I do think their rotation is a little bit overrated, at least has the potential to be. And I think that over time, their offense is going to score a gabillion runs. And the gabillion runs is going to carry them all the way through the summer. They'll have some series against like the Pirates or something where they'll probably just never stop scoring. And it'll be wild. But I think they're surprisingly flawed for a team as expensive as they are.
Sure.
I mean, I saw in Seoul, like the fact that their infield defense is what it is, and like, listen, if they score 12 runs a game, it's not going to matter. Like, it's just not. And I suspect that they're going to have the most fearsome offense in baseball this year, and they might not even be worried about this. But watching Max Muncy boot several ground balls hit in his direction that were very fieldable, watching Gavin Lux slowly drift rightward in the infield because he can't make a throw, so that you have Mookie Betts, who's an amazing athlete and is going to be a perennial MVP candidate, playing in a position he's never played in before for opening day, which, by the way, that's our game. All right, Dodgers, like, playing guys out of position is our game. So don't if they're gonna perform anything like the Padres, it's great. It's great news for us. But Mookie Betts playing shortstop is just ridiculous on a team that's spending hundreds and hundreds of $300-something million. It's committed to spend that much money for a really long time, and I don't know. I mean, like, I would never question Andrew Friedman. He's clearly unbelievable at his job. And again, if the calculus is just we score 17,000 runs a game, then it won't matter, then fine. But I think we're going to find out just how important defense, and specifically infield defense, is to winning baseball games.
The Dodgers get praised quite a bit for being a super deep team. And is that depth all Mookie Betts? I'm just kind of thinking, wondering aloud.
Right. Yeah, Betts just moves to any position that's on fire. So over the course of the year, he's just going to play everywhere. He's going to get on the catcher's mitt the day that Will Smith throws 2 into center field. It's fine. Just put Betts there. Is the Dodgers' answer to everything. I love it. I love panicking with your most important player. I think that's cool. Maybe they'll throw Ohtani out there into center field.
There's been reporting to that effect that he's putting on a glove and getting out there and shagging some fly balls.
Great. Let's do it. I think that's great news for the rest of the world.
I think when you're getting predicted to win 105 Major League Baseball games, there's a lot of, we learned it last year, there's a lot of ways to fall. There's a lot of ways to disappoint and have expectations not become reality. Speaking to that depth, Freddie, Shohei, and Mookie are Space Jam. It's ridiculous. But they're human. Freddie's getting older. Mookie's playing shortstop, throwing his bodies around, and Shohei's coming off a major surgery and probably is not going to be the most focused ball player in the world the next couple months. I can see things going wrong for them, but if you see things going wrong 20 games, that means they're still in the playoffs by projections. So they're just a monster.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much to be said about the top and bottom teams in this division. I don't think they matter too much. I think it's great that the Padres have a win over LA. I hope the Dodgers struggle early because the Padres have 2 series in the first 8 series against LA. So they'll have played 8 games out of their first, I think it's 41 against the Dodgers. So it would be great to get 4 games from LA early on and have those wins banked, because they're going to be a tough team to beat over the course of the year. They're going to get healthier as the year goes on. They're going to get pitchers back as the year goes on. And as a result, I think get them while you can is a great strategy. And just whoever wins the most, it's going to come down to certain things. And one of those is how many times you beat the Rockies in the year. And another is how many times you lose to the Dodgers in a year. And I wouldn't be stunned here 4 days before American opening day if you just took that stat in the NL West. You did wins over LA, or, wins over LA, wins over Colorado, basically, and compared San Francisco, San Diego, and Arizona, and the team that wins that metric is a playoff team this year.
Well, to that point, one of the teams we're going to talk about in a little bit is Giants, of course. And they had, their miracle 2021 season where they won 107 games. Their records against the Diamondbacks and Rockies, respectively, in that year. Against the Diamondbacks, they were 17-2.
Yeah.
17-2. Against the Rockies, they were 15-4. So nobody's going to win 17 out of 2 against the modern Arizona Diamondbacks. Rockies you can probably get 3 out of 4 from, but
I mean, I would this isn't exactly incredible analysis, but I would also just say I agree with you that the Dodgers and Rockies games are important, and then I also think, what are the records going to be in the Giants Diamondbacks games for the Padres? And then that's breaking news, winning your divisional games is important, but I really just can't emphasize how close it's going to be between those 3 teams. And one thing I'm really paying attention to for the Padres specifically is how we compete against teams under 500, because that was a place where we monumentally have struggled, not just last year when we were playing down against the likes of the Royals and the Pirates and et cetera, but I think in 2021 during that implosion year, we also had a bad record against sub 500 teams when we had the talent.
Yeah.
I think I would have to look back at 2022 specifically. So yes, there's the clutch stats. Yes, there's the divisional stats, but it's also just winning the games you ought to win and being competitive in the games where it's going to be tough.
Okay, so to Arizona. When we looked at the Diamondbacks this spring, I see a team that's really well positioned, to be honest with you. Everything that was said about them in 2023 is now coming more into fruition in 2024. They've got the young core that's now had some playoff experience behind it and has the confidence that they were able to be a winning team and make it to the World Series, / the pressure and expectation to continue to do so. But I think there's something to a young team that succeeds, believing that they will continue to succeed. He's hurt now. I think it's important. He needs to pitch and be healthy, but Eduardo Rodriguez gave depth to the rotation of the Diamondbacks and meant that Brandon Pfaadt didn't have to be automatically the team's third starter coming into 2024. Now they're going to have to hold the fort. I heard it's a lat injury, so if it's not an arm specific thing for Erod, he'll probably be back, in a month or two. But still, that's a loss. That's maybe 4 or 6 starts that Eduardo Rodriguez was supposed to make for them that he doesn't. Small margins are going to matter. But to me, when I look at the Diamondbacks, I'm really wondering about what's Corbin Carroll's encore? What's Gabriel Moreno's encore? Are these guys going to take another step forward and be MVP candidates? Or are they going to have that sophomore league catches up to him a little bit? I think that makes a big difference because the Diamondbacks don't have a ton of superstar power unless those guys are being those stars.
They don't have superstar power, but they got good players. Ketel Marte is a guy. I think he could outperform Corbin Carroll quite easily. Christian Walker, all he does is hit home runs. Do you think Corbin Carroll's a top 20 player in baseball?
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like, but what about top 10?
It's close.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely top 20.
I do not think that.
See, I think maybe not even top 20. He had an amazing rookie year. He had a lot of things going for him, but it would not surprise me if he had a little bit of fall off like Jonathan India did after his rookie year. I think the lineup is deep and strong. I think if the team has a weakness, I think the starting pitching could probably even be okay because Brandon Pfaadt was a guy in the playoffs last year. Ryan Nelson and Tommy Henry will beat the Padres because every Diamondbacks 4th and 5th starter beats the Padres. But their bullpen's kind of trash. Like they got Paul Sewald, but they didn't do anything to upgrade a unit that struggled in the playoffs and led to them having problems in the World Series. So if I'm looking at a place for hope that the Padres might have put a little bit more of their resources into shoring up than the Diamondbacks, the bullpen is where I do it.
I have to say, like, I just, before we started recording, I mapped out kind of where everyone's projected in the division in terms of their WAR, not only between batting and pitching, but also by position. And I kind of went through and wanted to see where we stack up positionally with these other teams. The Diamondbacks' biggest strength is going to be the right side of their infield. Christian Walker at first, Ketel Marte at second. Is better than both the what the Giants are predicted to produce, and then also it's tied at second base, Ketel Marte and Xander Bogaerts in terms of production. That's how when we think about Xander Bogaerts. Ketel Marte is projected to be just as good. So, like, I think it's worth putting respect, towards Marte in that sense. They have a great catching platoon. Gabriel Moreno is someone who is young, is going to continue to improve. And I mean, they're kind of, I would say, the reverse of us in terms of their outfield is a strength for them, whereas like ours is probably a weakness. And our infield's a strength and theirs is a weakness. If you're looking at it in an overall sense. I agree with you, Craig, in terms of, that their starting pitching depth isn't there. They're actually supposed to be the weakest of the 3 teams between the Padres, the Giants, and the Diamondbacks. Believe it or not, their bullpen's actually ranked the highest by a pretty considerable margin.
Really?
Yes. But also, all three teams have not good bullpens projections wise. So
that has to be a lot of Seawold.
Yeah, they're balanced though.
Ginkel was good, right?
Yeah. And Magoof is not as terrible as one might be led to believe.
Yeah, he's not a starter, but they don't need him to be anymore.
Yeah, Ginkel, Miguel Castro, Kyle Nelson, they have guys who will be annoying. I think in terms of the fun factor for watching these divisional games, I think it's kind of nice that all three teams kind of have iffy bullpens because that'll make it at least fun and exciting to watch these games late. But compared to the Padres, we rate out just slightly better than the Diamondbacks according to WAR projections. But we are the most alike in terms of balance. We're both about middle of the pack batting. Our starting pitching is better than their starting pitching, but their relief pitching is better than our relief pitching. So I really look forward to watching us go. And also, if one of the canaries in the coal mine for me in terms of if this team is different is if they win at Chase Field, which is historically something the Padres fucking never do. And if they can win in Arizona, I will believe this team is different.
Last thing I'd say about Arizona, they've made a couple of lineup changes, and I'm not sure it's going to help their offense. And that is they have put Jock Peterson and Eugenio Suarez into their starting lineup. They essentially replaced Tommy Pham and Evan Longoria. Now, from a power standpoint, they should get more power out of the two players that they have acquired than the two players that they let go. They should probably get maybe 15 to 20 more homers from those two players. But they are injecting so many strikeouts into the middle of their lineup when you put Peterson and Suarez within a couple of lineup spots of one another. And I think having a ton of punch and miss in the heart of your order is a way to strand runners, and it's a way to defuse offense. So, there's going to be a give and take. The Diamondbacks know they added swing and miss with those two players, and they're hoping that they get enough home runs that the metrics outweigh, the goods outweigh the bad. I'm kind of excited that they've added 350 strikeouts to their lineup or something like that, depending on how much Jock plays. And that's another chance for our good pitchers to get out of jams.
Yeah, agreed. And they're I will say, to transition, because I know we need to talk about the Giants, I really do at least understand the Diamondbacks roster construction. I do not understand the Giants roster construction at all. And so I look forward to talking about them because I stick by what I said a week ago that the Giants do not scare me.
Well, okay. The Giants think that they're going to have a whale of a rotation by the middle of the season. They think that when they get Cobb back, which should be in a month, and then they get Robbie Ray back at some point in the middle of the year, that all of a sudden you've got Webb and Snell and Harrison and Cobb and Ray, and you've got an incredibly deep rotation that probably pushes Jordan Hicks into a power relief role that all of a sudden gives them way more depth in their bullpen as well. They worked to change the thing that they did very badly last year, which was catch the ball. They believe that they've got the ultimate run preventer in center field in Jung-Hoo Lee. They think he's going to be the best center fielder. Now, let's see if he is or if he isn't. But they think he's going to be the best center fielder. They got Chapman, who Melvin thinks is the best third baseman. They added Nick Ahmed, who can catch the ball at shortstop. And they think that with Ahmed and Chapman on the left side, their pitchers are going to have more confidence to, let the ball be put into play because they're going to turn a lot more of those into outs than they did when Tyro Estrada was the shortstop for the team and J.D. Davis was the third baseman. And lastly, they think that they've got a gem in Patrick Bailey. I read that. They think they've got the best catcher to throw to in all of baseball in Bailey. And they believe that in signing Soler, they've solved the power issue that otherwise confounds this team. I think Soler is the big X factor. Everything J.D. Martinez said about the Giants ballpark, Jorge Soler should have said the same things. And he probably might hit 23 homers this year instead of 36 or 40 homers, just because of where he plays. That's going to be a big factor. But I think, Rafe, that what Zaidi was trying to do in a very calculated metric type way was like address deficiencies, change these things. If we catch the ball better and we have this rotation and we have these power arms in the bullpen by the end of the year, we'll score enough runs and we'll win enough games.
Yeah. I mean, but I don't think that it's going to work for them. And I'll tell you why. Out of the three teams that we've been talking about, the Giants, Diamondbacks, and Padres, the Giants are only predicted to be the strongest and outpace the other two teams at two positions. Catcher, and that's Patrick Bailey. Fangraphs fucking loves Patrick Bailey. They think he is truly like going to be the best defender behind the plate in baseball. And center field. They believe in Jung-Hoo Lee. They think he's going to be great defensively. They think his bat is going to transition to Major League Baseball. And, they're projected to put up 13.9 F4 for the starting rotation. That technically beats our 13.8, but I'm really willing to call that even in terms of starting rotations. And so it's like, Matt Chapman is not predicted to be as good as Manny Machado for the simple fact that, like we just talked about, pulling a script from the JD Martinez playbook, he's projected to hit 235 in San Francisco, 235 at third base. And, it's like shortstop, they're rolling out who? Is it Nick Ahmed?
Yeah.
Do I have that right?
Yeah, Nick Ahmed. Yeah. They
have Marco
So they
Luciano
want Gold Glovers.
the
they don't care if he hits. Luciano couldn't field. They wanted Ahmed because they needed someone who could field.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it's like, are you making up for Nick Ahmed's bat in your lineup everywhere else there? And like, I just don't know. Like, I know I was like not giving respect to Lamont Wade Jr. And Chris, you pointed that out. Lamont Wade Jr. is a better player than I portrayed him to be the last time we spoke about it. But I just like,
we accept your apology.
McCovey Cove swim podcast is going to be up in arms about our assessment of Lamont Wade Jr.
Their ambassador already left.
Yeah, but like, is how much different is Lamont Wade Jr. than Jake Cronenworth at first base in terms of our, like, we're scared of him as a bat, or like think like as frustrated as we are with Jake Cronenworth being our starting first baseman from an offensive standpoint, like, is it that much?
Yeah, he's probably 20 WRC plus more than Jake Cronenworth.
We'll see.
Yeah.
What I think the Giants have...
I'd probably take that bet, actually. I might be on a high because of the last time I watched Jake Cronenworth, he got 4 hits.
Yeah, for sure. But, I mean, I get it. We're all in the Cron.
I might want to take that bet.
I can barely put friggin' a sentence together at the moment. But I think this team has kind of built themselves to try to match up well against the Dodgers, which seems kind of dumb. They're super lefty heavy, both in the lineup with Patrick Bailey switch hitting. They have 5 left-handed hitters, and they can platoon, as they definitely do. All their entire bench is right-handed. But once Robbie Ray's back, 3/5 of their rotation will be left-handed. We know they do slightly worse. I think they're looking at the Dodgers and trying to get their pieces right on the spreadsheet, and the lineup itself doesn't really pass the sniff test in pedigree. I think the biggest X factor is Jung-Hoo Lee. If he can hit friggin' major league pitching at all, we all saw Ha-Sung Kim, bless the king, but it wasn't pretty that first year. Jorge Soler, if you look at his home run spray chart, he sure tends to put a lot of them in the left field seats, and JD Martinez talked about trying to put it the other way and it being tougher. So I do think Jorge Soler is going to knock the curse and hit more than 30 home runs as a Giant for the first time in 47 years, whatever it is. But I agree with you guys in that the lineup just isn't all that daunting when you look at it as a sum of parts. There's some good players there, but question marks all around.
I did see one thing in the Discord that Jung-Hoo Lee's already put up an exit velocity that's higher than anything Kim did his entire rookie year. So I wanted to get a share of Jung-Hoo Lee, and I missed him in both our leagues. And I'm a little higher on him than that. I think he might be
larger
really
sample
good, we'll
size
find out.
had Ha-Seong Kim hitting the ball a lot harder in Korea. And these games don't count for anything whatsoever. So I'm going to go ahead and keep thinking he's going to suck.
Okay, fair enough. We'll find out. We'll find out next Thursday. We'll have it all determined by the end of Thursday afternoon. That's for sure. Okay, so there's the Diamondbacks. There's the Giants, and I don't know. Like I said, the Rockies stink.
Hey,
Ezekiel Tovar has got an extension.
They're spending money
for him.
Yeah,
7-year deal.
Quantrill, bro.
Oh, poor Cal Quantrill. He doesn't
I know,
deserve
it's
that.
horrible. I feel terrible for him.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say I did pick up a share of Chris Bryant in one league because
I think that's smart.
I mean, I feel like if you rolled as Raphie likes to do, if you rolled a 20-sided die, like if you got a critical hit, Chris Bryant could come back and have a big season.
I agree.
I mean, he used to be a good baseball player.
It might be his last one. It might be like the last 90 productive games he plays, but I wouldn't put it past him. And how many games do they win if Chris Bryant puts up 6 WAR, Craig?
Oh, maybe 70.
maybe.
Well, he's not going to put up the WAR, but he will put up those inflated core stats, which would be great for your fantasy team.
He's going to play 90 games.
Yeah. Fun fact, the Rockies are ranked 30th in terms of projected batting WAR. Anyone want to guess what their projected pitching WAR is ranked as?
31st.
Yes, they've invented another team to be worse than
the Diablos de Rojas.
Yeah, they are also 30th. They are the worst hitting and the worst pitching team. But I don't want to shit on them because there's actually one position that we talked about tonight for the Padres. Did you know that the Padres have less projected WAR for left field than the remaining free agents right now? The free agents left field team is projected to be better than our left field squadron.
Okay, explain this a little bit.
I mean, I think it's just basically saying they think Tommy Pham's going to be better than what
we should sign Tommy Pham. That's what they say.
All right.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, are the Padres becoming all left fielders now? Damn it, AJ.
Tommy Pham can be our DH in a month.
He can be the ham fighters.
He has to play left field for a minute, and then he can be our DH. I mean, at least I don't know.
We already decided Terso's coming up.
There you go. All right, that's it. I'll be at opening day because I work for a radio station now. So unfortunately, I won't be at my favorite Tony Gwynn opening day because I also work for a soccer team that plays that night. But good luck to everybody. Hope to see a bunch of Padres Hot Tub folks at opening day. I'm going to be doing our radio show from Baja Ricks, which is just outside the ballpark. So if you are coming down early, we'll be there 10 to 12. Come by and say hello. And stay tuned. We'll have a drink a little bit later this week with a report from the Korea trip. And then we'll be back with group therapy after the team wins a game on homeland soil. Yeah. Which means if they don't win, there will be no group therapy.
Yeah.
So
they better win. The rules.
That's it.
They're not even looking for
a
win,
guys.
This year. They just have to win. Talk about it.
Let's go do that. Let's all enjoy opening day. Let's keep the rain away and go Padres.